Man, we are back. I am super excited. Today is a very, very special episode. Probably going to be one of my favorite episodes. My guest today, I met not too long ago on Instagram. He was an Instagram friend and turned real friend. And man, I'm gonna take Johnny's line. I feel like I've seen his kids grow up. Yeah, it's been honestly, it's interesting because they say Instagram is like kind of fake and it's like not real. But I feel like our conversations have always been real and honest, and we just chop it up about sneakers or Brooklyn versus Philly or whatever. But I think it wasn't until this pod came out, and then we just started talking about just life.
Yep.
Like we just got deeper into the conversations.
Yeah, I feel like you and I hit it off when both of us started posting some mental health stuff and everything in our stories. I feel like that's when it was like, okay, this guy sort of feels the same way that I do.
Yeah. So, man. So I guess for everyone who doesn't know you, tell everybody your name, your IG handle, where you're from, Philly. But
So Jesse Wines. My Instagram's at Jesse_Wines. I'm from Broomall, Pennsylvania. And born and raised. I love Philly. I own my own agency. I've been running it for 12 years.
Oh, we're gonna get there.
With 3 partners.
Yeah.
And yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
What I like about this episode is you're the first guest that has come on because of the pod.
Oh, okay.
It was like, I think me and you were going back and forth and having this crazy conversation. And then I feel like I said something like, yo, do you want to just come on and talk about it?
Yeah, that is how it went down.
And it was like, yo, this is a great episode.
Yeah.
Let's just chat about it. So, all right. So I guess for you, man, I know we want to get into family, we want to get into fatherhood and all that.
Sure.
What does it start for you? I guess tell me a bit about your childhood, upbringing. How does it start? Just because I think what people don't know is I find not necessarily your story like impactful. It is, but I find your process and who you've become like phenomenal. Like honestly, like when I see you, I'm like, yo, this dude is like father of the year.
No, man, I'm just
where did you IG with I guess IG's fake. I don't know if you really hang out with your kids. But man, I think the love that you have for your kids is like honorable.
I appreciate that, man. I came from humble beginnings. My dad's a painting contractor, still is, has owned his own business for 40 plus years. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. So, it was, looking back, it was like a pretty cookie cutter childhood. The only issue that I had was, there was definitely substance abuse on both sides. But it was something that you just navigated as your everyday as a kid because you don't know what's right and what's wrong. And, the only time that I really started to see that my life was a little bit different was when I would go to like my homies' houses and you saw it looked like an episode from like a sitcom, you know what I mean? Where the dad's all poloed up and, the mom's all fancy and everything. My household wasn't like that at all. So, I think there's little bits of me today that I took from my home life as well as what I was seeing from, my friends' families and stuff like that. But it's been a process and it's been tough. I've made a lot of mistakes. But, I am at a point now where I can say I'm the best I've ever been.
Right.
As far as my personal life. But I struggle a lot with, issues like every other dude does, the mental health, the depression, anxiety, all of that type of stuff. And, you don't see that on the gram. Like, that's not stuff, like, I'm not going to take a selfie of myself at 2:00 in the morning when, I'm in bed having an anxiety attack, what I mean? But, what you guys do see is a happiness when I'm with my homies, or when I'm one-on-one with my wife, or, you know, when I can get my kids out and play with them, because that stuff fills me up. Like, that's my joy. So yeah.
Yeah. Talking about childhood a bit. It's interesting because I've not that I've encountered bullying, but I've never met a person that, from what you've told me, was bullied so severely.
Yeah, like, bullied so severely that I deal with it every day still mentally.
Yeah, can we kind of like talk through that? Because what's crazy is in today's society, bullying is still an aggressive thing, and you see a lot of kids. I believe someone just committed suicide recently off of bullying.
Because back when I was getting bullied, I knew that when I got home, I was safe.
Okay.
These poor kids now, when they're getting bullied, if they open up their laptop or they look at their phone, kids can still get at them, you know, through social media and everything like that. So I feel really bad for the kids of today, and I'm super worried about my kids when they get to that point. But yeah, I mean, growing up as a kid, I'm half Greek, and that half Greek of me, they want you to eat and eat and eat, and big is healthy and everything like that. So as a kid, I was big, and I went to a Catholic grade school where, you know, it was sort of, there were a lot of families that were kind of on the upper class spectrum, and they just happened to be the worst kids out of the pack. And every day I was harassed. Every day I had to fight. Every day I had to deal with stuff. And, you know, there was this one situation that happened to me that I don't even know if my parents know. Most of my friends don't really know. But I got invited over to a guy's house that I thought was a friend. I think I was in 6th, 7th grade. And they had a finished basement. And we were down there, you know, just hanging out, watching TV. And he had an older brother who was in high school. So next thing I know, you know, I'm just chilling on the couch. They drag me into a back room. They hog tie me. They strip me. They blindfolded me. They jammed used jock straps all in my mouth and covered me in itching powder, like covered me, and then just left me in this room. And there were so many of them that, like, I didn't fight it. I was just like, all right, let's just let it go down. Like, because I didn't know what to do, you know, especially at that age. I was 11, 12 years old. I was just like, you know, what is going on? So they all left me in that room. So I eventually got myself out. And I remember how surreal it was. Like, I got my clothes back on. I went back into the room, and there was a couch in there, and everybody was just sitting on the couch, like watching Ren and Stimpy. And I remember just like going and sitting down on the couch and like watching Ren and Stimpy, and just like trying to process what was going on. And also I was like all itchy from the itching powder, because what that stuff is, it's like microscopic pieces of plexiglass, so it gets in your pores. So I was covered in that stuff, so I'm all itching and everything. But I think I just mentally just wanted to play the role, because I just felt like fighting it was just going to make it worse. You know what I mean? But it was wild though, like going back to school on Monday and like seeing all those people and just having to like play it off. You know what I mean?
And they were social with you though?
Yeah. Yeah. Like they were like what I would call friends. And, you know, I had a lot of situations like that where I had people that I thought I was friends with. And then, you know, you get in these situations where I'm getting bullied, and you see them on that side, and that messes you up. Like to see a dude that you chopped it up with, you just had dinner over their parents' house, like you were just at the mall hanging out with them. Now you see him on that side, and it's like, wow, like I didn't feel like I could trust anybody, and I felt super alone. I felt ashamed. Like, it was tough.
So you mentioned, which is insane that you went through that, but you mentioned when I first asked the question that you still deal with it
every day.
How does that look like?
It's tough. I mean, I've gone through therapy. You know, the whole thing with Instagram, like posting my fits and stuff, to be completely honest, and I know this sounds insane, I probably go back to those pictures probably 15, 20 times a day to look at them just to justify like, okay, you do look this way. Like, this is what you look like, because I don't feel like I look that way. Like, I have problems looking in mirrors. Yeah. My kids never see me with my shirt off. Like, I'm still very much like, I guess they call it like body dysmorphia or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm in it all the time. It's always in my head. And, you know, with friendships, I value my friendships so much and I lean so hard into them because I went through all of that stuff. But there's always a part of me in the back of my head that like sees those kids walking on the other side. And it's like, okay, which one of my homies, if it comes down to it, would walk on that other side and be the ones, you know, to mock me? So it's tough. And, you know, I remember sitting in therapy, and I was like probably 41 at the time. And I'm sitting with this therapist and I'm like, bro, I'm in my 40s. This stuff happened to me when I was like 11 and 12. Why am I dealing with it every day still? Like, this is embarrassing. And he's like, this is how it goes. You know, you have these childhood traumas and they stay with you. And sometimes it's hard to work through them. So, you know, I just do the best that I can to, you know, keep myself in shape, eat healthy, you know, keep my appearance as tight as I can, because without that, I just feel so uncomfortable, bro.
Yeah. Like, yeah. I remember we had a conversation where you were saying, which I don't know if this plays a part in it, but now I'm going to ask because now I find it interesting. Yeah. But like, you wake up at 4 a.m. every day to work out.
Yeah.
No matter if it's like your day off from work, holiday, sick, on vacation, you're up at 4 a.m. literally working out.
Yeah.
And I didn't believe you because no one's going to wake up at 4 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
And I remember you sent me a video like, yo, in the gym.
I was running. I was running
like,
on the treadmill.
I was like, bro, I'm going back to sleep.
So, and that's you know, how I mentioned you, I went out with Kel the other night and we went through your questions. And
what questions? I don't send people questions.
Oh, sorry. But she was like, you know, I want you to convey the fact that what you do with the fitness stuff, it's all predicated out of fear. It's all fear. It's all fear of slipping. Like, I feel if I skip a day, I'm slipping. Like, I'm going back to that. And for me to feel completely comfortable stepping into my day, I got to get a workout in, because it just makes me feel like, okay, now, you know, I'm the best version of myself today. It's all mental, and it's so exhausting, bro. Like, it's tough. And again, like, these aren't things people are going to see over social media. Right. This is me being vulnerable. This is my everyday. You know, some of my friends know that I deal with this stuff, but not everybody. Right. I guess I'll know now. I mean,
yeah. I guess I'm guilty at looking at your page and being like, yo, this guy's getting it. He's a trooper.
I mean,
you know what I mean? And I think getting to know you more, I respect you putting your flaws out there and saying, yo, bro, this is what I really deal with or whatever. But do you find it, because you go through what you go through, do you find it almost an obligation to kind of share with your friends just in case they don't have an outlet?
Yeah, but for sure. I mean, I feel like I try to play this part as being like the vulnerable homie so that those guys can all feel comfortable coming to me with whatever is going on. You know what I mean? Especially at this age, because, you know, once you get married, you start having kids, you got your job. It's the pressure, man, the pressure. And we all need those outlets. And, you know, I remember for a long time, you get together with your homies, you get wasted, you talk about the birds, like, you know, you just
no
do that
one knows
stuff.
What the birds is here, by the way.
Oh, the Eagles.
Okay.
Philadelphia Eagles, man. Super Bowl champions, baby. But yeah, I mean, I just feel like it's more and more important now as we get older to get that stuff out, man.
Yeah.
You know, to convey it, because you know, you can get into a really dark place and you can feel super alone, you know?
Yeah. With all right, so with the bullying tied into, I guess, like the way you maneuver now with the workouts, how has the bullying, I guess, affected your friendships? do you find yourself, just a question, do you find yourself sort of like, you know how you said you came out and you sat on the couch and you kind of just dealt with it?
Yeah.
Does that still resonate today? Do you still just deal with certain things in your friendships?
I was up until 2020.
Okay.
In 2020, I was forced to do a lot of evaluating because we locked down. We locked down for a year and it was just the four of us. And I had some of those friendships in my life that I felt like they were just still in my life because of tenure, if that makes sense. Like, I've known these dudes for 20 plus years, right. So I just got to keep rolling with this dude. But it got to the point where I felt like I was sacrificing too much of myself just to like maintain these relationships. And I had to cut them off. And it wasn't easy to do. And I still have love for these dudes. But I'm just at a point in my life now where I'm not going to just sit on the couch and deal with it anymore. Like, I'm going to chop this stuff out and I'm just going to keep, my circle tight and keep all the same energy. These two dudes were they're in a different spot and that's fine. Like, I'm not going to knock where they were. It just wasn't good for me. You know what I mean? Right. So,
which is true. I remember when I first got married, I had a bunch of horrible friends. They're good people.
Yeah.
I do feel bad. All right. So my honest truth is when I got married, I kind of did like the separate yourself kind of from people that were going to kind of like possibly stir you the wrong way, influence you. So without my wife saying, I already knew she knew certain friendships kind of had to like dwindle a bit. Or
the wifey always knows.
Right? Yeah. But it's interesting because now, as I get older, now they're coming back around because now they have wives or they have kids and the conversations are different.
Yeah.
Is any of that happening to you?
Sort of. I mean, there definitely have been those friends of mine that were wild and then, got married and settled down and you look at them now and you're like, God, who is that dude? But it's also, it's nice because we've all progressed into that stage together now. So it's almost like I love that because your relationship is evolving up. I've had too many relationships that have kind of gone down the other way. Like, I love that we're all growing together and we're all going through this stuff together. So yeah, I mean, I definitely have had a few of that for sure.
Yeah. Transitioning a bit. Yeah. I spoke about how much of a good father you are and how much you love on your kids and how much you care for your kids. We had, before we got here, right? We drove over here. We had a conversation where you went to, what was it? The store and you weren't necessarily prepared to be out with your baby. And she had an accident or whatever. And I kind of said like, yo, that's how it is sometimes for a lot of us because we didn't have that, like, hey, this is what you do when you have a kid.
Yeah.
You carry Pampers, you carry a spare change of clothes or whatever. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, how did you become such a good father going through what you went through? Like, how did you know, or how did you feel that you had to be different or do something different?
It's a great question. I guess growing up, there were parts of, my dad was my everything, but he was flawed. And as I got older, I understood those flaws more. But there were parts of him that I was like, okay, I want to be this kind of dude when I'm a dad someday. Like when I was going through that bullying stuff and I didn't have friends, my dad was my homie. Like my dad was my Friday and Saturday nights shooting hoops in the driveway, listening to hip hop. Like my dad was there with me. But there was other aspects where I was like, okay, I think I got to do a lot better in the emotional connection. Like me and my pops, we don't have that kind of emotional connection. So I always wanted to be that for my kids. So it's very important for me, specifically with Lily, because she's almost 8, and she's starting to evolve. It's just very important for me to let her know that I'm here with her, that we can get into stuff, that she can be vulnerable with me, that we can have emotional conversations. And that's just something that I just feel like I was such a sensitive kid, and I'm still such a sensitive person, that all of that feeling stuff, I knew I wanted to incorporate that into being a dad. I didn't want to be, a Peter Griffin or a Homer Simpson. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to really get in it. And, my daughter specifically, after the year and a half of us being in the house locked away, when school opened back up, she was very anxious. And I'd never seen her like that before. She was crying in the morning. She was just anxious going back out there. So her and I started doing this little thing in the morning where we would sit on the steps together, and I would lead her through like breathing. Like, we would do like breathing processes just to help her get calmed down. And then we would hug, and then she would go off to school. And I would sit there and just think to myself, like, man, my dad would never do this with me. Yeah. And not knocking my dad, but like, I don't feel like my dad ever had those tools. Like, I don't feel like he was ever equipped to even think that way. Yeah. You know what I mean? And also too, I'm Pippin to Jordan. Like, I follow my wife's lead. Yeah. Like, she's such a good mom that, it forces you to step your game up. And that's made me a better dad, a better person. So there's a lot of that too,
Yeah, no, I definitely feel the same, especially about the wife part, because I feel like even when we go through things with Jordan, he's 3, right? And he's developing and he's going through all these emotions, especially now that Joe's in the house. And she's like, it's like 2 a.m, bro. And she's like sending me links to like, hey, this is how you talk to your kid when he feels this way.
Yo,
don't do this, don't do that. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Great. I did this, and I'm checking it out.
Same way, bro. Yeah. Same way. And like how you and I were talking before this, I'll have those moments where Mace is like, play trucks with me, play this with me. And it's 6 o'clock at night, and I'm already spent. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, no, bro, like you play your toys. But then you go to bed at night, and you're thinking about it over. I'm like, this is what he's going to remember. This is, yeah. He's going to be at a bar with his homies someday, and he's going to be saying, my dad didn't play trucks with me, and parenthood is heavy, bro. Yeah. Like, it's heavy.
Yeah, so you have 2 kids, right?
Yeah.
Now I have 2, and we're at a stage where we're trying to, like, I guess, divide and conquer.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll take Jordan or Joe, and we'll just switch up. And,
yeah.
But the reality is, both of them want their mom way more.
Yes, I still deal with that.
It's like insane. Do you ever find yourself trying to, I guess, making yourself feel useful?
Yeah.
Like I find myself
all the time.
Yeah, I find myself like randomly doing stuff.
Yeah.
That I know I don't really need to do.
Yeah.
But it's like, at least I'm doing something.
I'll like seek and find like dirty dishes and stuff around the house and just like get in the sink. Like, because when both of the kids want to be with mom, which they still do, you feel bad for your partner because they're getting beat up by these 2 kids. So yeah, I'm pulling the vacuum out, and I'm like, resurfacing the driveway. I'm doing everything I can to like be like, okay, I'm doing something too. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because it's a terrible feeling when your partner's exhausted, but your kids just want them.
Yeah.
So you can't be that dude. Like, I can't just go chill on the couch and like put on a game. Like, that just doesn't feel right. Yeah, I want to too. But you want to show your partner that you're in it with them. You know what I mean? Somehow.
Yeah. No. I'm learning. I'm learning a lot more. Obviously, with my son. My firstborn, it was easier because it was just both of us. But with Joe, we are learning way more.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I remember this one time where Jordan was going bananas, and she was also trying to like take care of Joe, and I was just standing there like, yo, Jordan, you want to come with me? He's like, no, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to be with you right now. And I'm like, all right, babe, do you want me to grab Joe? Yeah. And she's like, no, I kind of need him right now. And I'm like, all right, let me just grab the garbage. And I'm taking the garbage out.
Yo, I do the same stuff, man. Like I was telling you the story. I guess it was like 2 weeks ago. My kids have swimming lessons. You know, I picked them up from school. I'm hanging out with them all leading up to the time that we have to go. I'm thinking that we're homies and everything like that. Well, my wife gets tied up with work, so she's like, you know, can you take them? I'm like, yeah, sure. I get them in the car. Both of them are bawling their eyes out. Like Kel's like in one window, like hugging one of them. The other one screaming and crying. And I'm just reversing out of the driveway with both kids screaming. And she's just standing there. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, what did I even do? Like, I thought we were homies. Like, and then the way that it always happens is we pull out, we get down a block, and they're already like laughing and all cool. It's just like this big show that they put on just because they want their mom at that time.
Yeah.
So like Kel's texting me, she's like, how are they? And I was like, they were laughing 3 minutes down the road. Like,
yeah. So I guess with you being like Father of the Year, man, and really like taking care of your kids and instilling in them like the things you didn't have, do you feel like there's other generational curses you feel like you're breaking?
Yeah, I mean, my wife had a rough upbringing too. So before we had kids, both of us made a pact, like, hey, we gotta do better by all means. So yeah, I mean, every day we work at it, which I think is part of why we're so exhausted all the time, because we're trying to fight. You know, for me specifically, my mom was extremely selfish and very angry and just not a good person. So I'm always, you know, it's always in my mind when my kids come to me with stuff or I'm in parent mode, like, I can't be this way. I can't be this way. I can't be this way. Like you're subconsciously fighting against it, which is super exhausting. But yeah, I mean, and like the whole addiction thing that both of my parents went through, and my wife had that on her side of the family too. Like we're very cognizant of that. Like I'm not trying to get wasted in front of my kids. I don't want my kids to see that. You know what I mean? Like I try to keep myself in shape so that they have this view of me. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's very important for me not to sit and tell them like, hey, you got to work out, or you've got to love Philadelphia sports, or you've got to love sneakers. You know what I mean? Like for me, it's very much like I just want them to see what I'm doing, how I carry myself. Like my daughter talks a lot about how I am with my friends because she sees how hugged up I am on them and how I talk about how much I love them. And she loves that. Like she sees them as being her uncles, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's important for me to project this to the kids instead of, you know, being those dads that are like, you should go about your life this way. You know what I mean?
What happens when your kids, I guess, start to ask you the tough questions though?
It's tough. Like my daughter's at the point now where she's like, do you have a mom? And I'm like, yeah, I have a mom. You know, she lives far away. And, you know, she's starting to like dig deeper now because she's getting older.
Yeah.
And she'll be like, well, why don't you fly to see your mom or whatever? And I'm like, oh, my mom and I were a lot different people. And I said, you know, I love my mom, but I don't really see her that often. And, you know, my daughter knows I have a sister too. So I'll get some questions like, you know, how come I haven't met my aunt? Like when am I, and it's the same thing. I'm like, oh, well, you know, she lives far away, blah, blah. Cause I'm not going to badmouth.
Yeah.
You know, cause I have love for my sister and my mom. I'm not trying to badmouth them, but you know, it's unfortunate they're not in my kids' lives. But you know, someday I'm gonna have to sit with my kids and be like, this is the situation, because my biggest fear is that my daughter one day is gonna beef with Mace and be like, well, you don't talk to your sister, so whatever. You know what I mean? That's one of my biggest fears.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure though, the way you talk to your kids, man, they'll get it.
I hope so.
They'll understand it.
I hope so, bro.
And they'll probably still be mad at you because
Yeah, because that's the way. Yeah, I'm sure when they're a teen, they're gonna be. Yeah, it's gonna be all crazy.
You robbed me from my.
yeah. That's just I know that's coming.
Yeah. So you've been married 10 years?
Going on 11.
Going on 11 years. And you said both of you guys are exhausted. You said she's probably like the one that's manning the ship. You follow her lead a lot of the times.
Yes.
How do you manage to keep the marriage growing and still, I guess, on fire? You know what I mean? Like, has that been a challenge now that you have 2 kids? Like, how does that work out? Do you find time for each other?
Yeah, we've always been really good about, like, we've got to do date nights. We've got to, we went away to Denver last year for our 10th anniversary. We very much enjoy each other and enjoy each other's company. And we just make it a point to find the time to get together. And, these are conversations that I've had with my boys too, that, like, they're having issues with their wives and stuff. And I'm like, when was the last time you took them out on a date? Or when was the last time you sent them away for a spa day and you took care of the kids? Like, my wife and I are very much like, she wants to see me happy and me be the best version. And I feel that 100% about her. So there's never a time where she's like, no, you can't do that. Or no, you can't, go experience that. It's always go. And I'm the same way with her. And in a weird way, that brings us even tighter together.
Yeah. Because
there's no animosities, there's no beef. She's my best friend. I joke about it to my friends and everybody else that it's like I'm married to a dude. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to put up airs. I don't have to be any different than I am. Like she's my North Star. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she's my everything, and I'm not capping either. Like she changed my life, and I owe her everything, down to having the kids and this lifestyle that we have. So I make it a point to keep her happy in any way that I possibly can.
Yeah.
Even if it means logging on to adamandeve.com a few times.
Do you ever feel like, just going back off of your childhood, your bullying, your anxiety, do you ever feel like you're not good enough for your wife, even at 10 years? Or going on 11 years?
I never feel that way.
Okay.
What I do feel very ashamed about, and it bothers me all the time, is because I don't have family, I put everything on Kelly. I heap every stress that I have, every problem that I have, everything that I'm going through filters through her. And I know that's very heavy, and I know it's hard for her. And that definitely is something that bothers me. You know what I mean? And that's one of the reasons why I've done therapy in the past, is to try to get that load off of her and put it onto somebody else.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something that I hope will change at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I love therapy because for me, I'm still going religiously, right? But I like it because I use it for me. I use it for what I believe it's for.
Mm-hmm.
I literally go and I dump a bunch of stuff on this person that is not in my personal life, that's not going to be around my friends, that's not going to look at me weird. And even if they did, they're nowhere near my life. So it's I literally get to go and unplug and have this person help me work through things, and then come back over here and kind of just still live. And that's what I used it for. Same, like with my wife, I just felt like, not that she got tired of hearing what was coming out of my mouth, but in the sense of, I felt like I was asking questions that she would ask in my head. Like, yo, but like, when are you going to like start dealing with it though? Like you said it a few times, but when is it going to be like a real thing? you and your wife are both like, you have both like really great careers, right? You guys have like amazing jobs and you guys are like full-fledged power couple. You know what I mean? Like
she's more the boss lady than I am.
Well, you have your own.
I do.
Right?
Yeah, I do. You know, I've like I said, I've done it for 12 years now, and it's wild because we started it. You know, it was just the four of us. We didn't start it with a client. We didn't have any financial backing. We didn't have anything like that. All we had was our personalities, our talent, our hustle.
Yeah.
So we've done it for 12 years, and you know, there's been a lot of up and downs. But meanwhile, like my wife, when I first met her at a job, and I met her in 2005, and she was the receptionist at this same company that she's at now. Now she's like a top executive, like getting all these like executive bonuses and all this crazy stuff. So she's the boss lady. Yeah. Like I'm just there, you know, making pretty pictures and trying to get through.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, she's the one. Her trajectory's been insane. I mean, I'll listen to some of the conference calls that she's had and stuff, and you know, she puts on her business voice. I'm like, my God, like who is this chick? Like I can't believe it. Like,
yeah.
It's nuts.
So now I got two questions for you. One is, how do you guys both manage two you know, extensive careers, right? Mm-hmm. With two kids. How do you guys manage that time?
A lot of texting. I mean, because my office is, you know, on the first floor. Hers is up on the second floor.
How many floors you got?
She just two. Come on, bro. She's on calls like all day long. So a lot of it is us texting back and forth like, hey, I'm tied up. Can you pick up the kids from school? Can you take the kids, you know, soccer, all these different things. It's just a lot of us being transparent with each other. Like if I have a job dropped on me, I'm like, Kel, I need you to cover the kids when they get home. And so it's a lot of that. We've always been super communicators, probably over communicating. It's always, we always want to see where each other are at to make sure that everybody's comfortable, everybody's on the same page. So yeah, I mean, it's legit texting all day long. Like, yeah, I can go get Lily, but can you get Mace? Can you know what I mean? And there's times that I know my wife has had a heavy day. So I'm like, you know, just go chill upstairs and watch like your Housewives. I'll chill with the kids downstairs. I'll make dinner and everything. Yeah. So that she has that time to recharge before bedtime, and then she'll put the kids to bed. So it's a lot of like.
Do you guys have like a cutoff time for like work?
Not necessarily. I mean, I want to say everything cools down by like 5 or 6. Okay. You know, occasionally there's stuff that'll come up after that. But that's when one of us just swoops in and, you know, I'll do all the baths. I'll do all the bedtime routine. Same thing for her. So it's a lot of that. You just got to be fluid. You know what I mean? Because the kids are at this age where they need constant support. You know what I mean? Right. So
do they ever feel like, all right, you're on the computer too much, or you guys are working?
Yeah, they're definitely, my daughter specifically is starting to get to the point where she busts our stones about like, you know, when I do have that time with her, if I'm on my phone, you know, I mean, she'll call me out about being on the phone. She's very much like, when you're with her, when you're in her presence, you got to be dialed in. And it is exhausting. I mean, she wants it. She wants like eye contact. She wants you like, which I respect it and I love her about it, but it drains my soul from my body at times. I'm just like, man, I am gassed, you know, and going through 2020 with her, being that way every single day. Oh my God. By the end of the night, it was like, bro, like I'm a shell of who am I? Like this is nuts.
Yeah. I remember when my son was born, my second son was born. I remember we had a conversation. You were like, bro, I am not gonna like sugarcoat it. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
Like 1, you're able to manage. 2, you're gonna lose your mind.
Yeah.
And it's not that it was like a negative thought. Yeah. It was just like such a realistic thought that I literally keep that with me now, because I'm like, all right, I got to be able to, like, I know it's going to be this way.
Yeah.
I just got to be, when you wake up, man, and your kid is not on, like, yo, your kid waking up good or bad can really kill your day.
Yes.
Like, it's so insane.
That's why I get up at 4:00 in the morning. I get up at 4:00 in the morning because I know, unless like they're sick or something like that, I know that I can tiptoe down the stairs. I can get my coffee. I can get my breakfast together. I can watch a show. Like that's my time to like lock in, be quiet. And then usually by like 5:15, that's when I'll actually go down and work out. But I can't get up to the chaos. And God bless my wife. She does it almost every morning because I'm down there working out.
Right.
And those kids, as soon as their feet hit the ground, they're on. Like it isn't like they're trying to ease into their day. So they both bum rush the bedroom and I'm downstairs working out. And yeah, man.
What would you say is the toughest thing you've learned being a father?
Patience. That I don't have patience. And just how exhausting and how relentless it is. But it's also such a blessing and it's humbling. And, you know, as their personalities have started to develop, the way that they look at you or things that they say to you, it's like, wow, this is amazing. But then 1 minute later, they'll ask you the same question 47 times in 47 questions. And you're like, I don't want to be a dad anymore. Like for real. Like I'm not, it's just that I've never had, that's what parenthood has brought into my life. I've never had the experience before where I've looked at somebody and I've been like, God, I love you. I made you. I can't believe this.
Right.
And then a second later, I'm like, I can't. Like, I can't even deal with you. Like, go find your mom. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah. So my brother, man, he loves my kids, man. He has such a connection with my kids. It's amazing. And I cherish him for it. You know, he loves Jordan.
Yeah.
But Jordan's at the stage where he's constantly repeating things.
Oh.
So I think the other day he was at the house and I think he must have asked my brother a question. Like it was probably like almost 20 times at this point. And me and my wife are just looking at each other laughing, boy, because we know we get it.
Yes.
So, and we know my brother don't got kids. So
yeah.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
So he's looking at him like, yo, like, stop. Like, what's wrong with you? What's going on? But it's like such a norm for us where we're just laughing like, yo, he's not going to be able to. Yeah, one more question, he's going to explode.
It's insane. Like, we've gotten to the point where we'll, like, if we have plans later in the day on the weekends with the kids, we'll keep it a surprise because you know that entire day they'll ask you, when are we going? When are we going? When are we going? When are we going? Is it time to go yet? And you're like, oh my God. So a lot of times we'll be like, we don't have plans today. And then bounce, you know?
Yeah. What is one of the things you want your kids to take away from you?
I guess the biggest thing is I want them to see how I am with Kelly and hopefully want to find that in a partner and be that type of partner. So that's really important for me because I didn't see that in my house. There wasn't a lot of love. I want my kids to be confident being themselves the way that they see their dad. You know, Lily's already like, you don't look like all the other dads and you don't act like all the other dads. And I'm always like, well, that's cool, right? Like your dad's different. Like that's, you know, so I want them to feel comfortable with who they are, no matter what it is they want to be or what they want to do. And I just want them to, you know, love and cherish their friends and hopefully find good partners. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I got 2 more questions left for you. What is success for you?
Success for me is it's not professional at all. I'm at a point in my life now where that's not my focus at all. Like for me, it's what I pray for every night. It's healthy, happy, and safe for all my friends, you know, my family, my wife. That's all I want. I want the bills paid. I want to be comfortable. You know, I just want everybody around me to be happy. I want to have positive experiences. You know, I know a lot of, you know, it's like the 5-year plan, the 10-year plan, and everybody usually ties in like professional or monetary. I don't care about any of that stuff. Like, I just want everybody healthy and happy. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I'm at this point in my life.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, man. We have this question that we ask every person who comes on. If you had a billboard and you could put it anywhere, what would it say and where would you put it?
I think my billboard would say, this is going to sound so corny, but real recognize real. And I would pop that thing right on top of my SUV and I would drive that. I would drive that around. I would sit in pickup line at school. I would sit around. I mean, I would have it strapped to me at all times because that's so important to me. You know, like I'm so beyond chopping it up with these dads that are like super fake and, you know, all this. I'm just done with that stuff. So I just want people to know, like, hey, I'm going to give you my authentic self, and I expect that from you. And if I don't see it, I'm gonna know. You know what I mean? So
it's good. That's good, man. Well, listen, man. One, I appreciate you from coming from Philly.
I'm so humbled, bro. Like,
super dope. But two, man, I already appreciate your friendship, man. You are super dope, man. I'm excited to know you and get to know more of you. I appreciate you as a father, man, as a husband to your wife. You're literally super dope, man. And I really appreciate you coming on, bro.
I'm super humbled, man.
Yes, brother. Again, peace out. See you next time.